Hey everybody, how you guys doing? It's Wednesday, 8 o'clock. So you know what time that is. It's time for In Touch with the Miller Boys, your weekly talk show where we discuss all things impacting the African American community of the city of Fresno and the surrounding area. As always, I am joined by my brother, G. Douglas Miller.
Hello.
What's going on, sir?
Oh man, I'm just frustrated with life today. I ain't gonna be pleasant, so I'm good though.
That ain't good.
It is. It might not be good for you, but it's good for me. I'm all right.
What happened to what'd you say? What's your thing? Love, peace.
Love, peace, and hair grease.
Okay. All right. So I got a couple of things I wanted to kind of get off my chest, but I'll worry about those a little bit later. Real quickly, talking about another, politics is one of the things I get into. There's another election that's going to be going on, and I wanted to talk about it. It's too late for anybody to do anything about it, but I do want to mention it. The Fresno Economic Opportunities Commission, Fresno EOC, which is the largest community-based organization in the whole United States. It has an annual budget of $136 million, I believe it is right now looking for commissioners. That board is made up of 24 people, and there's 3 different types of trustee. There is a community action or community organizations. So local organizations can submit an application to be selected, and they can have a spokesperson on there. And I'm not sure who the organizations are that are on there now. I know that Real Pride, the LGBT community, has a person. They were one of the organizations. I know the NAACP always has a person on there. But there's some other organizations that's on there also. The second way that you can be put on this commission is by having an appointment from one of the elected officials. So the mayor, city council people, somebody from the city council, Jim Costa, Joaquin Arambula. So some of those appointed people, some of those political people have appointments that are on there. There's 8 of them. And then the one that I'm involved in is the community sector. And the county of Fresno is divided up into 8 different sectors, 4 that makes up the metropolitan area and 4 that makes up the rural area. And a young lady by the name of Alicia Bonner, who is the president of SEIU 521, which is the purple shirt people, is actually running to represent Area F, which is south of Olive and west of Blackstone. So it takes in part of the tower, all of downtown, and all of West Fresno. I'm supporting her with that race. And the applications to participate in that election closed today at 5 o'clock. And so I was able to collect with some help, about 55, 60 applications for her, working towards getting her elected onto that commission. I served on that commission in 2010, 2011, I believe it was, or 2011, 2012. It's a good organization, and they're involved in lots of different things. They're involved with WIC and with charter schools and healthcare and all kind of different things, weatherization. It's a huge organization. And so I want to make sure that I gave a shout out to Alicia Bonner and what she's trying to accomplish getting on that board. So one of the questions I want to ask you, Drew, since you are a resident of Madera, you have a black woman now that sits on the city council. You have a brand new mayor that's up there. You have, I believe it's five of the six elected officials, 5 of the 7 elected officials with the city council of Madera are only within, they're serving their first 2 years on the commission. And so were you aware of that?
The mayor and the African American city council person, yes.
Okay. So it's going to be some progressive changes going to be happening up there. Santos Garcia comes out of the labor side, labor worker. He's a longtime Maderian, was a former migrant student. Will now be the mayor, sworn in January. Miss Anita Evans, who is the first African American woman to be on the Madera City Council, replaces a African American man who is a staunch conservative. He is a Trumper. So that position is going to be changed dramatically. And then there's a Hispanic gentleman, I forget his name now, who took out the other African American, Donald Hawley, was defeated also. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens progressively there in the
so
city.
How is that gonna change anything?
Well, I know that something as simple as what we refer to as the good old boy network does not have a firm footing hold on City Hall any longer. So when you start bringing up, one of the things that Santos talked about, I was on a meeting last night where he was one of the presenters. He brought up that when he got on the board 2 years ago, their city manager and a couple of other positions was making $200,000 a year. And that's in a city that's only about 100,000 people or so. If the 100, I don't even think it might not even be 100, but it's somewhere around there. But the city manager there was making as much money as the city manager in the city of Fresno, which has 500,000 people. And so he was like, there's a lot of inequities. He's hesitated calling it corruption.
Did they change the pay scale or the structure?
Yes, they changed it. It's changed. And he got a lot of heat from it. But that was one of the things that he did, he and 3 other people who got on the board 2 years ago. And so there'll be more changes along those lines. He's going to be taking a look at, the city of Madera is expanding up there on the side of town where you live with the new high school and those type of things. Putting in those water structures, not water structures, but the plumbing, sewer, all those type of things, expand the city out to, what would that be, 17? Because you're at 16, right? 16 would be Cleveland.
Why don't you just tell people my address so they can come over here and get shot?
That's not what I'm doing. It's Cleveland is 16.
I know that's not what you're meaning to do, but. So
anyway, I believe it's Avenue 17 is where the city is working on getting expanded out there where the new high school is. And so he'll be eyeball deep into making sure that thing is done equitably. The contracts that people are receiving for doing in those public work projects and those type of things will be done in a fair and equitable manner. And so those are some of the changes that you can see happening in the city of Madera, which is different than the way they've been doing business up there. So that's one of the things that would change. I don't know about how that's going to permeate out into the school district and other places, but so that's just something. So I just wondered if you had been keeping up with that at all since you're there in Madera.
No, I have a little bit different philosophy and take on the power structure and how things work. And just because you change a face doesn't mean that the attitude and everything and the good old boy network and the social structures are going to change. It takes a person's heart, mind, understanding to want to get in there and fight for righteousness and fight for the inequities that need to be fought for in order for them to change. Just because there's new people in there doesn't mean that it's going to be a more positive interaction or place or space to go in. You look at the Fresno City Council. You have they're trying with the majority to change that structure. You got one monkey in there that's just tearing up everything, and revolting and trying to be a Trumper and all that stuff. And it hasn't improved the stat. To me, it hasn't improved the status.
You've had also in the city council with Fresno, you've had one Trumper and you've had 3 Trump lights. Depending upon what the issue is, they waver back and forth. Although they have Democrats have a D at the end of their name, claim to be progressive in their politics, those type of things. Their actions, their votes, their inactions, their non-votes, their non-participation on certain things has not voted well. And so I'm looking forward to what's going to happen with this new council, in particular now that they've got Capriolio is going to be off and replaced with Tyler Maxwell, who is a progressive vote, who's a young, under 40 progressive voice. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. One of the things I hope they take on very quickly is the expansion of the Fresno City Council from 7 seats to either 8 or 9 seats. Depending upon how the politics plays out, because of the number of people that we have. We're projected to be 600,000 people in the metro, or in the city of, not in the metropolitan area, but just in the city of Fresno. So if you think about, if there are 600,000 people in the city of Fresno, you add in the county islands, the Mayfair area, the Sunnyside area, the Fig Garden area, you're talking about being, 650,000 people because they're not added into Fresno City's totals. And so when you're talking about that,
the city of Fresno's population every day swells to over 1 million with everybody coming into the city and working. So,
correct.
From Reedley and Kerman and Visalia and Tulare and Pixley and Madera and all the people that travel into the city to work, your population swells up over 1 million. That's why I always said that until the city of Fresno has 1,000 police officers, you're going to always have what is considered a crime wave, and the police department acting in a manner of which they have to try and beat people into submission rather than being in a place where you can teach and educate and have a relaxed relationship with your community. So and that's what I mean about the mindsets of the people who actually live there, work there, and perform the duties in the city government. Just because they make it to the city government, doesn't mean that they really understand how things should work. Look at Trump; he's the president of the United States, and people still dying. They're projected 2,000 people a day to be dying here pretty soon in the month of December. So
that's because you got a guy who is out of his lane. He's a businessman trying to run the government like a business, and it's not. So, yeah, but it's just interesting. The politics. So one of the other things, I don't know if we talked about it last week, that was interesting to me is that Fresno County is a blue county. I was told that for the 4th election cycle in a row, a presidential election cycle in a row, that Fresno County has voted for the Democrat. Twice for Obama, Hillary won Fresno County, and now Joe Biden wins Fresno County, which was an eye opener for me, given that we have so many conservative elected officials in this area.
And that, once again, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I learned maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago that all politics are local. So you want to have an understanding on a local perspective of your politics. You want to be able to vote and to understand that. And if you are as you say, a blue county, and you have Republicans on the county board running everything, then that you're going to have a conflict and people having to bend to the will of someone who's not, that they don't believe like, that they don't understand like, you know, and that's just one of the stresses and troubles that are coming along with having a blue county and a and you know, Democratic county with Republicans running it. So it's a Republican county.
So think about, you know, with the whole COVID thing right now, you've got that we're back in purple level, which is the worst of the categories, and and the people on their deathbed are fighting with them, saying, "Nope, it cannot be COVID because COVID is not real." And these are people
Right.
who are headed to respirators and all those type of things.
You have Donald Trump's appointee, I forgot what his name is, out here telling people not to wear masks. Basically, the COVID is not real. Right. You have Donald Trump telling people that COVID is not real, and I don't believe that he actually had COVID. I believe that that was all a ploy and a stunt.
Could be. I agree.
And he wanted people to feel sorry for him. He wanted for people to believe that he was some type of mythological person that could overcome the common disease of COVID. And yeah, I don't believe he had COVID personally, but COVID is real. And if you believe what like you said that you don't believe that they believe that, but yeah, they believe it. Then people believe whatever the folks at the top tell them, they believe.
And that's the scary part about the status that we're in as a country. I'm tickled pink that I'm absolutely excited about the number of people who participated in the election. This is the highest participation rate that we've had in any election ever in recorded time. The highest percentage, the highest number of people that participated. Well, I shouldn't say percentage. I don't know about the percentage, but it's the highest number of people that have ever participated in any election, which is a good thing. That means that people are participating. They're saying that we probably participated like, 70%, around 70% participation of all eligible voters, which is great. The scary part about it is that still 48%, 47% of the people who voted for Trump. There's information
Well,
that
I'm gonna give you a critical thinking understanding that it's much, much higher than that. And the way that I look at things versus the average person is that more probably 8/10 of the people who voted for Trump. And you're like, how? Well, the people who voted Republican voted for Trump, and most of the people that voted Democrat voted in opposition of Trump, and that's why the voting numbers were so high. So he actually moved the scale. He actually moved the scale like no one else has ever moved the scale before.
Agreed.
Now that's what's scary.
No. I agree with you. As I said, this election was a referendum, was basically a vote against the job that Donald Trump did for his first 4 years as president. This was him looking in the mirror, society looking in the mirror at what Trump did, and they disapproved of it. More people disapproved of it than approved of it, and so he's no longer going to be the president. He's going to lose the popular vote by 7 million people or so, 8 million people. Biden, they're projecting he's going to have 80 million people that voted for him, which is never heard of. There's never even Obama's first term, I believe it was, one of his terms, he got 69 million people to vote for him, and at that time, that was the record. And now Biden is going to be at 79, 80 million. Trump is going to be at 74 million, 73, 74 million. And I agree with you that it was all stimulated because most of this was stimulated because of Trump. Part of the people because they wanted to keep him. Another large component of the people wanted to get rid of him. It had very little to do with Joe Biden. And I believe that Joe Biden understands and realizes that. And I hope that he's a man and true to his word, that he'll come in for 4 years and be very outlandish and very brash in the things that he does for 4 years, knowing that he's not going to run for a second term, and make sure that he puts the liberal side of the ledger in good footing to be able to continue this movement that we have right now with our next presidential candidate, which right now would be Senator Harris. So that's and I still think the two biggest factors, demographic factors in this, is that the number of under 40s is so large, and I'm curious to see how the under 40 population voted versus the baby boomers. I'm curious about that number. And also it's coming out saying that there is even a higher percentage of white women voted for Donald Trump in 2020 than they did in 2016. Right now it looks like they went from 53% voting for Trump to 56% in 2020 voting for Trump. So I don't get where that comes from. I'm just, but there's going to be some bigger brain people. Where that mindset.
What comes from? Why they voted for him?
Correct.
Because it's the Klan. Okay. It's the theory that I teach my children, and it's the Klan mentality. Okay. Human beings and other things of natural living order tend to be more comfortable with things that look like them, things that they can relate to. And that is exactly what we are faced with the part of society that is now, as you put it, over 40 years old.
That's a good thing, by the way. What you're saying is if we use the Klan mentality, and that's what people are basing how they're casting their votes, that bodes well for people on our side of the ledger, because there's more of us on our side of the ledger, and our side of the ledger is growing more so than their side of the ledger.
When you say our side of the ledger, you're talking about Democrats?
No, I'm talking about not necessarily Democrats, but that's a lesser. But I'm talking about black people. I'm talking about under 40 people. I'm talking about non-conservative people, whether they're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, whatever, progressive people. That bodes well for us because we're no longer the minority, and people our society seems.
You're a black man. You're going to always be the minority. You're not. You're. I don't know. I don't quite understand where you're going with that philosophy.
People of ethnic descent are not a minority.
Okay.
People of ethnic descent are not the minority. The people who are the minority, if you're talking about sheer numbers, are the non-ethnic people, or the people that we refer to as Caucasian, or the people that we refer to as white.
Or European, right?
European.
So are there more?
Is now the minority.
Are there more white folks or Europeans in the country than there are black folks?
Say that again.
Are there more white folks / European people in the country than black folks?
Yes.
That's why I'm saying we're the minority.
But I got you. If you're talking only solely about black people,
that's all I'm doing.
Huh?
That's all I'm doing.
Okay, but that to have that type of solistic ideology compels you to always be a minority.
Okay.
That's okay for you. It's not okay for me, because
but the way you think is, as we say, as we're finding out, giving your power to a collective that doesn't even see you.
You don't. That's not true.
Okay.
That's not true. And
like
you don't have to. You don't have to give. You don't have to give of your power. You don't have to give of your power. All you have to do is understand and maximize your power. And when your power is not enough, you find collaborations and partnerships, collegiality to align your power with other groups' power to ultimately have a larger power.
Right.
Here's one of the things I want to talk with you about.
And you, as the minority in this country that has always been on the bottom, will always settle to the bottom of that power structure.
Not necessarily.
Necessarily.
No, not necessarily. I disagree.
Necessarily.
Okay. We obviously will have another disagreement. Let me ask you this question. What is one of the things that I'm going to be working on going forward is the all-out eradication or the elimination of the descriptor minority to describe ethnic groups. I'm suggesting that either you identify an ethnic group by their unique ethnicity, or you come up with some other term, group of color, group of ethnic group, whatever, as a descriptor for those people who are not white or not Caucasian. I think that one of the things that happens is when we use the term minority to describe people of color, there is an inferiority complex, inferior concept that goes along with that.
By whom?
By society, by those who have
so then I understand what you're saying, and that is the mindset that you need to be trying to change. Not the concept that the bag is bad or the fish are bad in the bag, is that it's all good. Pick and choose the parts of the subject that you want to be. You can call me what you want to be. It doesn't change it doesn't change who I am and what I am. It changes how you think of me. So what I need to do is be able to overcome your philosophies, your understandings of me. If you change the name, once again, like I said, you will settle back to that descriptor of that person. First, we were Nigga. I'm not the N word. Then we were Negroes. Then we were colored. Then we were black. Now we're African American. The lineage have been allowing us to be changing the name. It's the same result. So we have to love ourselves. We have to tell people what a great being we are, and you have to stand for that, no matter what you're called, what you look like. That's an individuality thing. You can't change society by that. Hopefully, you say the demarcation mark is 40 and under. I say it's about 55. And when the people that are over that continue to die off, then your philosophies will change. Not as great as we think, but they will start to change.
We're talking two different things. I'm talking about actually people who are 40 years old or younger. You're talking about ideologies, mindsets, socialization that people have. I'm talking about just sheer numbers. People who right now who claim to be 40 years old or younger, there's more of them than people who claim to be 41 years old.
And how? And right. No, I understand exactly what you're saying, and you're misunderstanding what I'm saying for the sake of being right. And I understand that. I get that. But of your people that are under 40 years old, how many of them are going around calling people of African descent the N-word as a phrase of putting them in an inferiority box, versus the people over 40 years old calling them for the same names, putting them in that box?
I don't know.
You would have you would have a better mindset with people under 40. And as it goes down, and once again, I use 55 because that's where the Civil Rights Acts were signed and all of that. So you have legislation signed into effect for people over 55 for their entire life. They were able to call people. I was going to call people niggas and spit at people and tell people that they needed to respect them and they need to walk in the street, as they came along, and not look them in the eyes and do all of these types of things. That's how they were socialized. Your population in that area of 55 or whatever the Civil Rights Act was fought for. You had lesser of a society and civilization that were had the mindset of calling people out their names and being more human to Africans that were in the Americas, in North America. And now we have a population where you say 40, who the population has grown even bigger. My children, your children, their population is even bigger of people who are willing to accept the fact that African Americans should be treated on the same level as them and everybody else. It's a socialization of the philosophies of people. That's what will change the understanding.
Okay, so with your kids, have they ever reported to you an incident where they were called a nigga in a derogatory manner rather than as a term of endearment?
Of course they have.
So the two younger ones also?
They have.
So
of course they have.
So then I don't understand what you're saying.
But not as much as you and I, not as much as mom and dad. That's what I'm saying. That the society is changing, not because society is changing and being softer, but you still have to fight for, as an individual, for people to understand that you're more than just what they say or what they see or how they act toward you. It's unacceptable at this time and age, whereas the same with sexuality. People of our parents' day and age were less understanding of those types of relationships. Whereas in our day, there were less people that were, and nowadays it's accepted.
It wasn't accepted during our time of growing up. I know for a fact it wasn't okay to be known as gay.
I said it was better accepted. Not that it was totally embraced and loved. No, it wasn't. But there were more people that were accepting it than there were when our parents or our parents' parents were around.
Agreed. And it would be more accepted in the generation of young people now. Agreed.
Correct. That's just the way it goes.
But that's
When
just
these older
but
people that you see
that
running
is
around,
also
Donald,
our opinion, because I'm quite sure that there are other people who can give you an opinion that would either be people that our age that says is homosexuality, ethnic groups were totally accepted because that was their experience. We're going to have people our age who are able to say it wasn't accepted totally. And so I hear what you're saying. Things are changing. I agree with you. Things are changing. And I think they're going to even, the change that you're describing is going to be accelerated because of the number of people, the number of United States citizens of the United States of America who are under the age of 40 versus over the age of 40. Because also during the time when we were growing up, our generation has never been the largest population, has never been a significant number to overcome our parents' generation. Okay? We have a generation now where our kids are, except for Aaron, but where the other ones are, where their generation now, by sheer numbers, is got to be dealt with because they're the largest group of citizens that we have in the United States of America. So the changes that we saw gradually come over time are going to be accelerated because the young people moving forward, those that are under 40. And so with that said, and when we go back to talking about politics, that's why I'm eager to see what's going to happen over the next 10, 20 years about things that are going to happen and how they're going to happen, because those people that you're talking about who have had those old boy mentalities, who have rested their laurels on being able to be dominant, we're the biggest numbers, we can do this, they're hitting a form of resistance now. And I'm curious and interested to see how that all plays out. And it's going to be played right on top of our generation. We're going to have very little to say with it. It's going to be our sons and daughters generation basically having a political fight with our parents' population, our parents' generation. And that's the interesting part for me, based on just the sheer numbers of where the American population is right now. I think you can see that reflected in my race. I don't know what all the factors happened in my race that I lost to stay on Fresno County School Board, but I lost to a Latino, LGBT, young, under 40 male. Why did that happen? How did that play in that? I don't know. But I can just tell you that I have now a personal experience of being outdone by someone from the other side of the ledger, and a couple different societal factors. And so there's other examples of that you're going to be, I can point to. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens and things moving forward. So anyway, going back to the question I asked you about the term minority. One of the things I'm going to be working on is to, because what I've learned is that words have meanings. So if you consistently if you consistently refer to people of ethnicity, Black folks, Mexican people, Asian people, or Japanese, Chinese, Hmong, Armenian, if you consistently call them the minority, there is some implicit biases that goes along with that terminology. There's some implicit racism, institutional racism, that goes along with using that descriptor. And I'm interested to find out, if you take that out, how does that change the trajectory of what we're doing with education? How does that change the trajectory of what we're doing with employment? You know, I'm curious about how that would happen. And so I'm going to start asking, kind of already started asking some questions. I'm going to start having some conversations with some people, some heads of some different departments and different things to have that conversation, because I think that that word as a descriptor for people of color, for people of ethnicity, is part of the institutional racism that we're always talking about. So I don't know if you have a reaction to that or not. Okay.
Well, my reaction to it is just like I just excuse me. It's like I just stated. You know, you can take the minority off of the product and put something else on it, superior, if you want to put it on it. People are going to still look at it as that is what it is. It's still an apple. You can call it apple or orange and apple. They're going to still refer to it as, and put the energy into that issue as they see it.
Agreed.
And here's an example for you. What did Joe Biden tell African American people in the United States? Who brought home the victory for him?
Black women.
Black people.
Okay.
Who was the first to stand up and holler like a scalded dog about that statement?
I don't know.
Eva Longoria.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that Hispanic people were the people that put him in the position to win the presidency.
And it's that
you're going to always have.
It's that type of mindset which is going to be our undoing, and that's going to be huge over the next 50 days here in California, because it's going to be based in
what mindset?
The mindset of me, black people, me, Mexican people, me, Asian people. As long as we keep saying me, that's going to be our undoing here in California. And I
believe the
So here's the next thing that the biggest concern that I've got here in California. There's a huge push right now to replace Kamala Harris as a senator. Black women in particular are saying that you need to replace Kamala Harris with a black woman. Hispanics are saying you need to replace Kamala Harris with an Hispanic, because Hispanics make up the biggest numbers in California Democratic policy. If we allow the
hold on. Don't forget, the Republicans are saying that they need the representation in that Senate seat also. So Republicans would love.
That ain't happening.
It doesn't matter if it's going to happen or not. What we're talking about is the philosophies of the different groups of people. And the Republicans would love to see and are begging and asking for that seat to be filled by a Republican person. So I get I understand what you're saying, and I get where you're going for it. But that's why I say it can't be about us. It's got to be about me as the individual. Or you're going to lose. You're going to float back to the lowest rung on the ladder every time.
I wholeheartedly disagree with you, because the me.
What you do?
The me argument and the me position, I believe, Darren Miller believes, is why Fresno, who is a blue county, who is a Democratic voting county, the 5th largest county, I believe, or 6th largest county in the state of California, that contains the 5th largest city in the state of California, is not more democratically politically led. It's because of the me's. Everybody is always fighting for their representation, rather than saying My people need
and you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to fight for the folks that look like you and that can represent you.
right, that can represent you. And not everybody who can represent the best representative of you is going to look like you. In our case, the best representative for us could be a woman. Black, green, white, polka dotted, whatever. Could be a woman. That's different than us. Could be a Hispanic person, different ethnicity than us.
Then
Could be a white person.
What the us you talk about?
The black
us. You talk about is who?
Us. The Miller Boyz, us. The black us come from Harry and Bessie. That us. That's what I'm referring to right now. Doesn't mean that the person who has to represent you needs to necessarily look like you. Now there are statistics, and I did that with my.
You mean be a black man is what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a black person, a person of African descent, male or female.
Okay, so then you were okay with Derek Robinson, the Trumper, black male, 60-year-old black male Trumper, being on the city council in Madera.
Does he best represent me?
Yes.
No, he doesn't.
Okay. Why not? He's a black male.
Because he doesn't understand. You have to have knowledge. Just because you don't have knowledge is not always the best person to represent you.
Is knowledge connected to a person's gender?
Don't even try it. Don't even
I'm asking you a question. Is knowledge connected to a person's gender?
You asked a question. I gave you an answer. Don't even try it.
Try what?
I'm
asking for clarification.
Don't even try that ill understanding and manipulation. No, don't try.
That's not a manipulation. I'm asking for clarification. You just said no. We've been having a conversation.
Well, I can't. Okay, look. If you look into muddy water, I can't clear it for you. If you don't understand what I'm saying, then I can't clear it up for you.
So then how does it get clear? You just wait and wait for the settlement, the silt to come down to the ground before the water clears up?
Yeah.
I don't agree with that either. Because you can learn as much as you can in muddy water as you can in clear water. It just may take more work. It may take different manipulatives. It may take different strategies and techniques. But you can teach in muddy water.
What? Manipulatives?
Yeah, manipulatives.
Strategies, techniques, manipulative. What? Huh? What do you say?
It may be harder work to teach in muddy water, but it can still be done.
What? Huh? Okay. I got you.
Nah, you don't got me. You don't got me.
I got you. You're an incorporated person. You go out and you think that that you will be representative in numbers by different sets of people. And I get that. I understand.
It can be.
I get that. You can be, but I get that and I understand that. But that same philosophy gets what, like you were saying earlier, the Republicans in the seats over and over and over. I get that.
No, I disagree with you. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that staying in your isolated silos, not expanding out and not incorporating partnerships and collegiality is why Republicans run Madera County. If those of us who are in our silos, who have collective mindsets.
Fresno County, what are we talking about?
I'm talking Fresno County now. Those of us who have similar ideologies, similar desires, want similar outcomes, and we would collectively come together. Don't give up your power, but come together collectively so that we can move in the same direction. And it may mean you're the best person for this job. Let me help you and support you getting there. I may be the best person over here. I may not be the person who needs to be out front. I may need to lead from behind. I may not need to lead at all. I may need to be just a participatory body in what we got going on. We need people from all ilks to be able to move this wagon forward. But right now, unfortunately, everybody wants to ride in their own wagon. And ain't nobody on our side of the ledger, or very few people on our side of the ledger, are getting to the finish line because we're running each other, knocking each other out, and the Republican is going smoothly ahead and staying ahead of us, unfortunately. We're very people. There's this whole deal right now with the word socialism and social. Now, human beings are social people. Okay, not socially political. I'm not talking about the politics of socialism, but I'm talking about the nature of man. The nature of people is to be social. That's why we have families. That's why we go to church. That's why we play football on football teams. That's why we go and identify with certain schools. We become part of the band. We join gangs. That's the socialization part that goes along with us. So there is nothing wrong with being social. So when the Republican side talks about we will never be a socialist country or a social country, they're absolutely full of shit. But as long as we on our side of the ledger continue to ride along in our own singular wagons, we can't change that. And so I just anyway, great conversation as always. Got a couple minutes before we get done. There was something else I was going to ask you and escaped me.
You see these things running in the back of me back there? You know what those are?
Camel? What about
color are they?
I don't know. Dark?
What color are they?
I don't know.
They're black camels.
Okay.
They're black camels. Okay.
Okay.
Do you know why they're all black camels?
I do not.
Because that's how they were socialized.
Okay.
Would they accept an albino camel in the herd? Probably. But will that albino camel rise to the top? Probably not.
But will it get the attention of others? So
doesn't matter.
When we our screwed up selves, man, goes across that I don't know, that herd of black camels that has a white one in the midst, guess where we're going to gravitate to? To that white.
I would, and I teach my children to gravitate to the leader, the one that can do something for you. Not necessarily the white one, because that is the philosophy of the Western world. The white man.
That's the point that I'm trying
colder
to make.
And its sugar is sweeter.
That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make. I didn't say Gerald Miller. Where are you going to gravitate to?
What?
I said we, as a people in society, when man, with our frailties, our inefficiencies, run across that black herd of camels and that white one's there, where do we, as men, as a mankind, gravitate to? To the white one. I didn't say Gerald Miller and his teaching of it to his kids and his philosophies. I got you. I agree with you. We need to recognize that that's a camel. It's a little bit different and keep on rolling. I agree with you. But that's not where we are societal, unfortunately.
I don't know what just happened. I guess it got too swamped in your bullshit and cut off, but
that ain't bullshit. That ain't bullshit.
That's all right.
That is philosophical. That is bullshit. Social is, yeah, you call it bullshit if you want to.
Philosophical ideas and understandings are just that. They're thoughts. They're philosophical. They're not true and tried. They're your thoughts.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit right there. There is 100 plus years, 1,000 years of people who are built on philosophies and separated off from different philosophies to build upon. So if you're saying that philosophical thoughts are bullshit,
no. The way you're interpreting the psychological thoughts, the philosophical thoughts. See, have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful evening. Love, peace, and hair grease. And hey. What they say? A hard head make a soft bottom, or is it the other way around? It's okay.
Yeah. Well, and they also say that opinions are like assholes. We all have them, and they all stink.
Correct.
That's another. That's another.
That's why you got to keep your ass clean. That's why you got to wipe. But if your philosophy is not to wipe,
the cleanest asshole in the world still stinks.
If your philosophy is to not wash your ass, then your ass gonna stink a lot worse than the ones that are clean.
The cleanest asshole in the world still stinks.
And you need to stop sniffing them stanky assholes then.
Okay, I'm just telling you. And then the shit passed through clean. It stinks. Anyway, real quick, please keep mom and pop in your prayers. Hoping to get mom home hopefully this weekend. So please keep her in your prayers. She's doing well, but she's getting a little stir crazy in the facility where she is, and we're working diligently to get her home to be able to work her back into the Miller fold. So please, thank you for all of those of you who have sent the messages, and somebody sent flowers to the house today. So thank you for all of those prayers. But please keep Bessie and Harry in your prayers going forward. So with that, we'll see everybody next week. God willing.
Enjoy your week.
8 p.m. next Wednesday for In Touch with the Miller Boys.
Day.